especially given how well they are playing. They are all playing on form right now, and I think they have more options at different stages of the game. For Loud, let's see how they can play with this slightly different style. We've got to keep our eyes on the Lucian Nami. Let's see how Root and Seos can do with another winning lane, and keep our eyes on Robo. Let's see if he can hold on to his lunch money.
Keeping eyes on each other. First wards down, but both bot laners instantly showing up to try and get that little bit of priority. I love it when junglers do this, when they say, screw you, you're not going to kill me, I'm just going to watch you. In goes the ward, and Red will have that extra tracking on Loud as well. You're noticing across the rest of the map, this isn't mirrored, so already a little bit of extra confidence is turned into a little bit of an advantage for Red. And though it's not in the gold, it's not in the kills, it's not in the towers, it is a small thing that's already stacked in their favor.
Yes, they are going to be able to have a little bit more knowledge going into this early stage. And keeping track of a player like Croc is a difficult thing to do, but it's very important to at least try, as Robo is going to sweep out that ward as well, and Croc is going to go and start on that bot side. We'll see if they smoke this out. They have actually placed a second ward onto the blue buff, so they are still going to know where Croc is, and that is important to track. But the same is true for Aegis. Both of these junglers very, very active in the early game, usually very pivotal for their team's early strategies, and we'll see where they choose to dedicate their time, because that will indicate what the game plan is going to be for both these rosters.
I really like these cheeky early sweepers that we're getting out of both the top lane for Loud and the bot lane of Red. It's small XP advantages that in a solo lane are going to matter a little bit more, looking at you, Robo, but I'm fascinated by the early choices, and I like that they're already, especially on Loud, paying attention to what Red are doing and trying to counteract it actively. Level 2 does get hit. Robo, that early extra XP advantage coming in clutch, but Bull is still Renekton, and unfortunately, there's not too much that can be made of the level advantage before it ticks over for Bull as well.
Yes, it's going all right for Robo so far, but I want to be clear that Robo has not been necessarily getting crushed in the 1v1s all the way through the lane under his tower. He has been the one sometimes winning these early skirmishes, but then fluffing the dive or getting overextended and ganked. He's not necessarily always losing the trades, but he is always losing the lanes, and we need to see him sharpen that one up, as we do see Aegis looking for an early play onto Tinones.
Whiffed that early vision. Tinones does get away with the phase rush, giving that little bit of extra movement speed. Really nice positioning, especially considering that he had absolutely no vision on that Sejuani as she approached the lane. Croc's got an idea, though, and popping into the river with Avenger on the way. Loud have to know something's up. Nice dodge, engage onto Avenger this time, but Tinones doesn't have a whole lot of damage left in him, as Aegis is able to tank up plenty. Flash over the wall, secures first blood for Avenger, and Red are going for a little bit more. In comes the stun. Tinones is low. Tinones is in lethal, and Tinones is down. Red just picked up 2 kills around the mid lane.
Bro, Avenger on the carries just hits so hard, man. Plays it on the edge, down to single-digit HP almost with the minion autos coming in. But they get 2 kills for him, and he is going to accelerate this advantage. You know he is. Titan as well. Maybe feel a bit encouraged by what he sees across the map. He's looking to get an advantage of his own. So
tough to make this work. Now we'll take a look at it one more time and see how, honestly, Loud lost control of this.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be fine with the initial engage with the double buffs onto Avenger, but the Shroud means you just can't follow up. And as you pointed out, Dia, the damage onto Ryze is basically nothing at this point in the game. He hasn't had his first back yet. He's got nothing to offer, whereas Avenger picked up double buffs from the Vi and had so much to offer, so much time to waste, and just the red buff ticking away for that extra bit of damage.
Yeah, when I was looking at it, really the moment that I felt like things started to slip away was as soon as that first Spell Flux Overload combo missed, because you're now working with an extra couple hundred HP that it keeps you out of lethal range for the Loud mid laner. Now, they have recovered pretty well, decent vision in the river, and Croc's hoping to make yet another play. If they can keep that attitude up, I do see Loud coming back into this, because, as we saw last game, the eventuality is that you will find picks, but Red are not taking this lion down, and Shuriken barely missing onto Croc could have easily been another kill.
And there is plenty of vision for Loud still in that river, and they will be contesting the the river vision, but this is kind of what we expected here, is that Robo and Ball have been left entirely to their own devices upset. All the investment is going into this bot side river, and Croc kind of has to get out of dodge as Aegis with Curry rotating, the Zeri and Lulu having the prio, given that Cios had already gone for a recall, means they are able to still control that river, but you do still see those pair of red wards in the bot side jungle on the blue side that will give Loud a little bit of extra data when they want to think about maybe playing around the dragon in a bit.
That'll be their focus for the next couple of minutes. Red certainly already leaning towards that side, be it for the kills, be it for the objective. I know not yet, but I do know that Avenger is remarkably close to level 6. Tinones is just ticked over, and when we think about the solo lanes, the mid laners specifically, and how they're getting involved, Akali level 6 means so much for the skirmishes. Tinones' own ultimate, a little bit more about making them happen than actually getting stronger himself in those fights.
Yeah, when it comes to the actual fight itself, it does basically nothing. But they do have the first move into the river here. Now they have been spotted up by Aegis, and Avenger is going to come down the river. There could be a potential pincer on the cards. Titan trying to get level 6, won't hit it. Root and Sails both level 4 in
Loud are
fact.
gonna die. Loud are gonna die so much.
Ooh,
they do get the
it.
dragon, Croc, the sacrificial lamb in this case, and a price well paid. A single kill for a dragon when Loud maybe wouldn't have gotten it had they not gone for this cheeky start. I can't say I mind it too much, Trajan.
Yeah, it's not the worst for sure. Single Hex Tech, as far as single Drakes go, Hex Tech is a pretty nice one to pick up, and it is another kill onto Avenger, but with all the kills stacked onto one player, you know that there isn't that extra advantage necessarily across the other members, but maybe Avenger can start using this advantage to himself. This is an Akali, and you get fed on it. You can carry the whole game by getting those critical pickoffs with that damage that he is going to be stacking up there. And Loud have come back from a deficit before. Their second game in week 1, they did come back from a deficit. Now, this wasn't against the top team in the league, being Red at 4-0, but they have shown us that ability. Red, on the other hand, we've only kind of seen them win. I was wondering in the pregame, we haven't really seen them show what it looks like when they're losing. Can they come back? Do they fall apart at the seams when things get tough? It doesn't look like we're going to get tested on that front so far in this game, as they are 2,000 gold up at 8 minutes, but, we'll see.
Now we get a look at the top lane that, I'll be honest, I was expecting to be a little more action heavy. Robo has managed to stay alive the whole time, which is, at 7 minutes, not something that I was necessarily expecting.
Impressive.
Yeah, right? Bull, by the same token, though, also doing pretty well and in a neutral sort of state. Renekton will still have a really nice mid game, but Cassante is going to be feeling pretty comfortable as well. And as both these top laners struggle in their own micro neutral game states, they've got to be looking at the rest of the map and worrying quite a bit, especially as Robo, whose job it's going to be to try and make the rest of the team work together. Right now, he's getting ganked, and unfortunately for him, things aren't looking too easy. Ghost already popped, and Aegis can still re-engage, has the ultimate.
He will still be able to walk away. Thus is the Cassante bonus. Is this the counterplay in mid? Maybe, but I think Avenger's put enough distance there. There won't be a committal for Rock and Tinones, but as we saw, Cassante pretty safe up in that 1 versus 2. It is going to turn into a Herald for the side of Red, and maybe there's a 4-man play onto the bot lane for Loud, but the bot lane for Red isn't there right now.
It's a really good transition gank. I love the way that Croc showed up in the mid lane, popped down towards the bot lane to get a little bit of extra pressure. It costs them absolutely nothing, but it does make Red quite worried about even approaching that tower. Tinones has shown back up, and Red, in the meantime, have managed to pick up the Rift Herald that you had alluded to. That advantage should turn into a lot more in the next couple minutes when that Rift Herald does get converted to gold, but there is room for error there, where Red can slip up, and Loud very much are still looking for a play.
Yeah, and we haven't seen much out of Croc so far. We saw them pull that Dragon play, but besides that, we haven't really seen him play super hard through any lane. He's made an attempted gank onto mid lane that couldn't make it stick, and there's been no investment into the bot lane yet, despite the fact that Vi does have the ultimate ready. We haven't seen them attempt to make a play onto Titan or Curry. Maybe it's just that the wave timings have not been successfully synced up, and Titan and Curry there's been nobody home when the play has been available. So perhaps it could just be Red successfully outmaneuvering those timings, as Robo, once again, is going to potentially be on the wrong end of a 1 versus 2, but probably just going to take the information and head back and realize that he is on the weak side as always.
Yeah, I also, much like Aegis, look at a Cassante and go, you know what, I don't kill him if we engage
Yeah,
here.
I
I'm just
can't
going
be
to take the
bothered,
Scuttle
man.
Crab. Yeah, like, oh my lord, just too tanky.
Yeah.
Titan, not
Yeah.
having that problem towards the bot side, is able to make sure that some vision gets cleared out, and Red have managed to maintain a decent amount of push in this bot lane as well. We haven't touched on the CS numbers for really anyone just yet. The biggest disparity really is up in the top side of the map, where Aegis and Bull are having a great time farming up.
Oh,
And
having a
Bull,
blast.
increasingly actually, looks more comfortable. He's not hit an item break point just yet, but Robo, afraid to step up into that wave.
Yeah, everyone's still waiting on that first mythic, though you got to imagine Avenger is going to be, maybe seconds away from getting the gold for that first back, and he's going to have that Hextech Protobelt coming through in time for a dragon in about 30 seconds. Now, we might have a bit of a pre-play, bit of a 3 versus 3 down here, but I think Avenger's going to be first on the scene if it breaks out.
Aegis does still have that old holding on to the big playmaking that the Sejuani has got. Avenger securing that push in mid lane means that Red get to fade back into the fog of war, clear out a little bit of vision, and set themselves up to be the sole proprietors of this dragon pit. Titan, looking for the aggressive play here, does go onto Root, instantly flashed up the wall, though. Croc does take the lockdown. Titan flashing afterwards, still alive, and Root just as chunked out as he is, with a little more access to healing. Red should still be able to go for this play, but they've got to contend with the other side. Tinones, who has started to walk down and is contesting up against Avenger for some much needed space.
We saw both the jungle ultimates used. Both of those key engage tools have come off the table. Starting that fight is going to be a matter of positioning, a matter of drawing them in to a Drake fight and catching them on the way out. But both teams are not looking for that kind of scuffle right here. We do see that Titan has made it back. He's gotten a mythic, and we've got the Herald into mid lane. So Red are going to be able to commit this one. They're on a much better spot for it now.
This is so good, actually. Getting the artificial pressure from the Rift Herald and your bot lane reset. It's a no-win scenario for Loud. Now Titan gets a little bit of extra farm, nice time in lane, rotates up to the dragon, you get plates in mid lane. What more could you ask for? I suppose you could ask for a one-team fight. Loud are trying to engage on one right now. Root did manage to get his own reset as well, but Croc, no lockdown on the Vi. Dragon already gone, and Red say, you know what? If we're not going to win this fight, we'll just walk away from it.
The zero hesitation from Red, pulling that reset and dropping the Herald does mean that they are just a step ahead of Loud, getting back to that river, and they will get themselves the dragon. They won't lose anybody. You could see Croc was hovering around. He wanted to try and contest, but nobody was ready for him quite on time, and Red will walk away with the advantage. Now, there is still, looks like Croc wants to get something. He wants to try and break this game open. It's been surprisingly quiet for the Loud jungler, but there's so many strong bodies down here. It's only a 3 versus 4.
Assault and Battery is up again. Aegis is feeling himself underneath this tower. He knows he is the thing standing between Loud and this play down the bot lane. Tinones is going to have to walk all the way back up to mid lane once more, collect that wave as Avenger takes the reset. And while I admire the fact that Loud went for the play, the fact that it resulted in absolutely nothing for them doesn't make them feel a whole lot better.
Yeah, and as this game continues to just kind of trudge on after that early flurry of action for Avenger, they have a 2,000 gold lead, they've evened up Drakes for Red, and this is with the scaling Zeri, they've got the scaling Akali. I really feel like Red are very happy with how it's going right now. They're able to push Loud around, they're able to get the leads for themselves, and when the fights break out, they are going to be stronger at this mid-game point. Rise has just completed the Rod of Ages. That's got time to stack up. He's still got to complete the Seraphs as well. There's so much time before Loud really feels like they can contend with the lead that Red have built themselves.
And from a relative standpoint, there's just so much more damage and no real resistances to speak of having been built on Loud just yet. It's mostly health and a little bit of damage. They cannot stand up to the advantage that Red already have. Avenger roaming on up to the top side. They haven't actually claimed a tower yet, have Red, and that seems to be the play they're looking for next. They're applying pressure around the rest of the map, looking for a fight, looking for a way in where Loud aren't paying attention so they can finally claim first brick.
We have Blade of the Ruined King completed on Boel as well. We are still waiting on the first completed item for Aegis, but everyone else has their power locked in kind of across the map, and they could look for a scuffle based on that fact. Loud looking particularly fighty. They're trying to actually muscle into this river, trying to take some space of their own, not give away a free Herald. And if they can find the right targets, they might be able to make it work. But I honestly feel like they're not in a good position. They've got to keep track of where Avenger is.
Red start the timer ticking, though. By picking this Rift Herald up, they're forcing Loud into them. Croc's looking for an opening now, and Robo's joined the rest of the team. There's a lot of CC here, and the ultimate whiffs from Aegis into the back line. Out goes Avenger, and down he goes as the follow-up is deadly. Rift Herald is going to get traded away as Aegis picks that up and is trying to get out of the pit. He is going to make it out alive with the flash, but the follow-up from Loud is just as deadly, claiming a second kill, getting them 2 for a Rift Herald, and that is well worth it.
Oh, Tinones. Don't don't. Oh, the flash in!
Somebody save this man. Somebody move. Seos finally looks up and throws the bubble out, but it's too little and much too late. Loud do give that kill right back up, and it lessens the worth of the play just that little bit more, although I still see them coming out on top of this.
Look, I wanted them to keep track of where Avenger is, and that is exactly what Loud did. The surgical removal of Avenger from that fight was very well executed. All 5 members turned on him and just bully circled him. Now, they did lose complete control of the Herald pit, and they lost the objective to Aegis as well, it must be said. They burned a lot of summoners, they only got 1 more kill, and then Tinones goes down in the extended play. But that was mechanically pretty well executed from Loud. They did manage to get the shutdown, and they managed to stop Akali, making this game spiral too far out of control. Just because the Herald's been taken doesn't mean that Red will get value out of it. Loud might be able to slow it down. And if they can keep that cohesion, keep that single-minded behavior, they might be able to eliminate Avenger, and eliminate that, you eliminate most of the gold lead that Red has.
Yeah, at that point, you've got the promise of the Loud roster, which is that you've got a whole lot of CC, you've got a decent chunk of health, and there's just so much utility that if you can match the damage, you are going to win eventually. Red are wrapping around to try and save their own tower. Funny how that works in the face of having just picked up a Rift Herald, but they're the ones on the defensive. Tower dive accidentally starts a little bit early, and Croc takes a little too much damage. With Bull in the front lines, Red may still be winning a fight. Avenger is unleashed, picks up the kill in the back line, and while Loud managed to have some of their members come out alive, the tower grab went very far south.
Yeah, and that's what happens when Avenger is allowed to do what he likes. We've seen what happens when he gets bully circled. We've seen what happens when he gets ignored. 3,000 damage coming out of the Akali. Massive executions, unable to be stopped. And just like that, Red show us that they are still in control of this game and are going to pick up the second Drake as a prize. So definitely not a comfortable spot for Loud. They did get 1 decent fight, but they still have to be very, very careful. I feel like this positioning up from Croc is very, very bold, going in deep right here.
He takes so much damage from that tower before it dies as well that Red's job is made all the easier. All of Vi's cooldowns are not spent, as we talked about, locking down Avenger, making sure that he's not doing anything, but instead just trying to get out of the terrible situation that they created. And even there, Titan's like, what's happening? Like, what? We'll take this team fight, and it's a really nice, good news story for them. Unfortunately for Tinones, another sad one for him as he gets taken down for the 3rd time in as many minutes.
They do have the TP from Loud, and maybe they're looking for some sort of counter, or at least just taking down the turret. Robo probably doesn't want to sit in the same lane as Avenger at this point. Jack show or no, Avenger is pretty darn strong, and this is just going to be the tower trade. But yeah, Loud, they're looking a little sloppy. Their decision-making is not looking on point. The fight was not a good one to take. Tinone's getting caught in the side lane. It's looking tricky, and what a Sejuani ult. There won't be any follow-up just now, but Red are so confident. They're threatening always. This is a team that when they're ahead, when they are confident, they will push the advantage as far as it will go, and as of yet, no one has been able to stop them.
That was a sick ultimate, and the advantage that you're talking about has been very clearly identified from Red, and it's the fact that Avenger is unanswerable right now. that is the thing that Red have that Loud simply cannot do anything about. If you can keep Avenger in a side lane, that 1v1 is his. And they're using him almost the way that you would use a Fiora right now. Red even throwing down the Rift Herald and just attracting a lot of attention into the mid lane. Unfortunately, this doesn't come at an opportune time, as Avenger's still out hitting the map, and Bull will get a little bit of a chunk on a turret, but it's not the best play for Red. What it is them just keeping Loud moving to them, responding to their plays.
And it does seem like we might have a little contest over this crowd. They will just walk away. In terms of what we expected to come through, we've hit the 20-minute mark now in this game, dear, and we didn't see Robo get mugged up in top lane. He did pretty well in the 1v1, playing the most broken champion in the role. Good job, Robo. We didn't really see enough out of Root and Sales for my liking. The Lucian Nami was down in CS. They're still down in CS, and they've been down in gold all game. They've not been able to pressure Titan and Curry, and Croc wasn't able to say one word one way or the other. So I think we are starting to see maybe a little bit of lacking from Root and Sales. They had such a great week one and very good on these robust scaling picks, but in terms of the lane dominators, they're not able to really get the footholds I would want to see for them.
No, and I think the same can be said of the top lane, as we highlighted it a little bit ironically there, going, hey, good job, Robo. It's a similar story down there. Root and Seos likewise have this extraordinarily powerful duo that we aren't really seeing come to fruition as much as it is just hold its own against Titan and Curry. And as the game does keep going, we've been on a roller coaster this entire time going, hey, that was a really good play, Loud. Great job for setting that up. Oh, Loud have lost control of everything and they don't seem to have a powerful point. And it's this like really emotionally trying back and forth for them, but it's the fact that they're living and dying by very little health, all things considered. Robo, who is so often not the focus of these fights, not the one in the front lines, is the one with the most HP. Red can chew through anyone else.
It really does feel like Loud are the ones in the corner getting kind of worked by Red, and then occasionally Loud will throw a jab out and they'll catch Red in the jaw and they'll go, okay, yeah, fair enough, you got me with that one, and then they'll take a haymaker to the gut straight back and they will be back on the defensive. Loud, they're struggling and scrapping to get out of the situation they're in, but Red are still in full control, just outplaying them across the map right here, holding on to this lead, and they're not presenting big advantages for problems. They're not being caught out. Admittedly, their side lanes are very strong with a Kali Renekton. It's hard to punish them at the best of times, but, you know, a Rizal, a Vial, these are things that can catch side laners. Maybe there's a fight on the horizon here.
Red have been shepherding
double?
Loud about, and good God, Seos does not get to play League of Legends. Instant follow-up onto Croc as well means that all the time that Red spent sandwiching Loud into the top river works out in their favor and works out to the tune of an uncontestable Baron.
They stretch them out into the top lane river, chasing after Akali, and then the double TP behind them for a sublime pincer by Red. And as you say, dear, completely uncontestable. No smite available. It's not going to be stolen. And Red now have the key to crack open this game. There's a dragon to put them to soul point. There's plenty of turret gold on the map to pick up. And all across the map, they have the lead.
That just feels pretty bad, doesn't it? They turn right from the Baron, which is one of the biggest objectives in the game. It is what we play around after 20 minutes, and just also get a bonus dragon as well. That's after picking up 2 kills. So, no worries. Red are doing just fine. Robo, right next door to Avenger, does pop his head out of the bush and is going to try and contest for this. I don't even think you can get out of the pit. Nope. Croc gets stopped, and Red may very well be forced to fight here. Avenger pushed right back into the smoke, does get out. Ultimate whiffs, but Sejuani looks pretty comfortable, pretty healthy in the front lines. Everybody from Red free to disengage as Curry flashes out over the wall, and the confidence with which Red took that dragon, turned on and said, are you sure you want to fight? Okay, we're going to back out now. They know this game is theirs.
Yeah, there's just too many targets for Croc to pick. He goes on Akali, she drops the Shroud, goes on Renekton, he presses R, goes on Titan, he slides over a wall, and he's got the shield bow proc as well to keep him alive. There's no good option for Croc in this game in a 5v5 scenario, and he's 0-4-3. He barely has the damage to make it even worth going for anybody, as Bowl has caught Tino slipping in bot lane.
Presses R and gets the phase rush, at least, from Tinones to take him to safety. So Loud hang on to their solo laner for another day. What in God's name is this teleport? It looks like we're trying to start a fight right now. Tinones and Robo on the flank don't quite get the lockdown, but Sejuani split from the team. It was their best shot at finding the fight.
Just didn't really hit the same, did it, dear? Didn't really have the same stank on that one. It was not really as effective for Loud. They tried to pull the same maneuver, but they just did not have the same perfect positioning, and maybe it's just that Red were better at slipping out of the clutches. And even then, Loud are coming from such a great deficit. They have to get that play to work absolutely perfectly to have a chance of it working, whereas Red, they have the freedom to do what they want at this point. They can take the quote-unquote riskier plays because they've got such heavy wallets, they can just crack you over the head with them.
That's what's happening right now, or what's about to be happening, rather, as Red do hit the Rift again. Almost 3 items on Zeri at this point, so Curry and Teton really do feel comfortable enough to just walk up to everyone and say, I dare you to engage onto me. With the arrival of Aegis and Bull, that only becomes even harder to contest, and Robo, unable to play League of Legends for a few seconds, does take a big chunk of health on his way out. Bull disengaging as well, but Red count themselves lucky as they have yet another tower in their pockets after that play.
I will say that as nothing more than a delaying tactic, the double TP play from Loud didn't really lose them anything, and only one tower going down as part of that Baron buff is a little surprising to me. I think the Red were in a position where they could contest for more, especially with how strong their side lane 1-3-1 potential is. So Loud did kind of mitigate that Baron buff fairly well by distracting Red with these tricksy plays, with the TP plays. So there's something to be said for that. And the gold lead is large, but not insurmountable. And Red, definitely there's still a way for them to misplay and throw this one away. But as the game gets later and later, Zeri Lulu becomes a combo that is harder and harder to actually punish at any point.
I really want somebody to numbers check Robo right now, because I think he might be able to hold under tower against Avenger. This is something that I was not sure of earlier in the game before he completed 2 items, but now that Robo's actually got some decent health underneath him, side laning against Avenger has become a real possibility, and while it isn't going to suddenly win Loud the game, it can keep them from getting bullied around the rest of the map because there's simply no answer to Akali.
Yes, I think that's probably true. And we can see that Boal as well has gone for the very high damage option. He does have Blade of the Ruin King, but it's also a Prowler's Claw. It's not necessarily something that will help as much against the Cassantes of this world. So Robo should be able to hold on to whatever side lane opponent he is matched up against. And that does maybe free up Loud, free up Croc and Tinones to look for more plays, to try and catch out really critically this bot lane of Titan and Curry and actually wipe them off the map before one of these objectives. It's a minute before the next dragon, and you can see that Loud are pushing into this river, trying to get vision control. They're trying to make this fight advantaged for them before it kicks off, because the straight 5v5 is not going to look good.
We can see it, Red cannot. There is so little vision, just the singular ward by this dragon that honestly makes this such a difficult fight to approach for Red. Now they've got full data as Root does pop out, but takes half a Bull's health bar with him, and any engage from Red is going to be at a pretty severe disadvantage since they've simply got no idea what's happening as soon as you dip behind that wall.
And Loud, they're really pressing and trying to get the same play on, and they have good vision behind them. They did have the pinks to try and watch for Avenger's potential rotation. He's going to get spotted there, and there's a TP from Bowl in as well. He's healed up, but now there is this potential they're kind of rotating around the pit, as we can see. Red now all on the bot side, Loud up in the top side, and now Loud cannot see where Red are. They need to try and put this vision down. They need to scope out Avenger.
Yeah, Avenger absolutely getting held at bay here by the ward. Might still commit over the wall, but Bowl again at half HP, and it might come down to a smite fight here. Avenger's coming around the side. He's going to get locked down by Tinones as Aegis engages on the front lines. We're waiting for the damage to follow in from Teton, but Bowl's going to take that first instead. Vi ult into the back line means that Teton has to chew through back to front, and Bowl does go down in the meantime. Somehow Root is still alive, but Titan arrives and takes him down. Looking for the rest now, has Tinones on the ropes. Nothing you can do against against Curry and Titan. As over the wall, he will go, picking up that
Of
last kill,
course.
almost completing the ace. Robo gets a kill right back, but now you've got a Zeri Lulu on your tail, and even as Cassante, there is nothing you can do.
And in all of that mess, Red did pick up the Infernal Soul, so there's not even a delaying tactic to be found there by Robo. It is the delayed ace for Titan and Curry wrapping that one up. That was a fair effort by Loud. You can see on the damage charts, a lot of people putting in their shift on Loud there, and on the red side, Titan kind of running amok. But that good start, we saw Tinone's gatekeeping Avenger very well on the rise. Bowl went down to about 200 HP before Clutch stopped watching to keep himself alive. It was relatively well managed from Loud at the beginning, but this gold advantage is massive, and you can see once Avenger is in, the havoc this man wreaks is just massive. He takes so much attention away from everyone else on red as soon as he makes himself known.
It's the problem that you talked about earlier. There's just too many targets, because
Yeah.
I was watching Croc that entire fight going, when is he going to jump on top of Titan? When are the rest of Loud going to be able to commit? And by the time it happens, it's the Avenger problem that has already taken the forefront of Loud's attention. They're all like, oh, that's right. If we're just focusing on what Titan's doing, Akali will kill all of us. And there's no good answer to it, especially in a close range fight like that, with Aegis able to provide so much disruption and do it again as they find yet another ultimate and take almost no damage for it.
Yeah, it is Red stepping away with a bit more damage on the HP bars, and Root still wants to try and poke and prod as much as he can. Remember, the Infernal Soul is picked up by Red, so the damage got stepped up even more, if that were possible, for this combination. Even Bowl in that last fight, who we saw basically pushed into stasis and couldn't do an awful lot, he now has a GA. If he gets onto your backline, he's going to be one-shotting them as well. He's basically full damage. There's so many threats to deal with, and Loud now have to contend with them once again. And look at Avenger. He's on the flank again.
And he knows he's on vision, but he also knows there's nothing Loud can do. Commits onto Tinones, but the rest of the fight is already chaos. For in trying to hold off Avenger, you've let Titan, you've let Bowl run amok. Two members down on the side of Loud, and it's going to turn into a Baron for Red. It is, as Thanos would say, inevitable.
It really is, man. That's exactly what we flagged up. Bowl is just as much of a threat in his own right. He finds his way onto Root and completely stops the Lucian from doing anything. Titan comes around the corner and kills him with the Zeri ultimate of all things. And that is it. You've dropped your Lucian. There's not a chance you can stand up in the damage wars. You only have two damaging champions, and they're both way behind.
Ah, Tinones is dead.
There goes the other one.
Yeah. that was a little bit unfortunate. I was wondering if Red would pull the trigger on that. And they just saw him and went, absolutely, I will. That's a big stagger on the respawn timers as well, which means we are going to get a teleport and maybe even the end of the game. Red could try and push for this. A lot of them have ultimates back up, but crucially, Aegis does not, so their engage tools are lacking. Loud would have to be the ones to take an overly aggressive fight to make this the end of a 30-something minute game. Red currently going to sit pretty with their two inhibitors, and Loud are playing patiently, so they'll get to live to fight another day.
And Red not taking the Los Grandes tack from last game. They are not just going, we're ahead now. We're just going to muscle into your Nexus, walk up to you and kick down your door. They are doing it very much by the book, going down the flowchart, getting each lane in tow. And this is going to be another stage in the developing wake-up call for Loud. The defending champions they may be, but Red Canids have come in here and are showing them the damage that a, 4-time champion can do when they are allowed to play their game, when they are on form as they continue to be.
And yeah, this is seeming like a perfect first half of the split for Red, if they can just finish up this win, and that's not looking particularly challenging for them right now. Next tower doesn't even need minions to take down, that's how low it was, and Red get to push as 5 people with a full Baron buff available, with all of their ultimates, almost full summoner spells. The only thing they're really missing is Titan's Flash right now, and he's got Barrier and a Lulu.
That's a barrier, a Lulu, and a dream, and that's all he needs, Titan. He is 8-0-4 with the GA as well. The guy is very tough to deal with. 2 inhibs down. You can see those super minion waves stacking up, coming in through mid and top lane, and Loud, they're going to have to do something, because as it's going right now, they are going to get bled out. Root, again, diving forward. He has been trying to get the most out of this Lucian pick in the mid and late game, but when you're that down in gold, it's pretty hard.
Flash out from Tinones, but plenty of damage still going to be propped up by Titan, who gets caught by the bubble and now is initiated on Croc, gets melted for trying to punish him, and somehow the Zeri is still alive, popped into GA now. Red have all 5 members up again, and clean house. Avenger taking 2, 3 kills with him, as finally Red are able to crack the tough nut that was Loud and find themselves a perfect first half of Split 1.